Hey peeps. This is my coming out story. I've been watching a lot of other people's coming out stories on YouTube and thought about doing my own, and finally I'm just gonna do it in as short as time as I possibly can. So, jumping right in, a little bit of background. I lost my grandfather when I was 6 years old to AIDS. Because of that, it put me in kind of a shell in school, and it was very hard for me to make friends because I was very shy. I lived in my grandma's house till I was 10 years old and shared a room with my parents and my brother and sister. My grandparents and cousins were in another bedroom, and the other bedroom in the house was kind of like a rotating door for my aunt and uncles. And whenever anybody was using that room, somebody else was sleeping on the couch. So it was always a packed Mexican house. And um, I didn't really make too many friends when I was little, going to elementary school in Van Nuys, and any friends that I did make, really, they were usually girls, and I didn't have very many. And then anytime I did make guy friends, I would get jealous when they would get interested in a girl, and I didn't realize that I was probably crushing on them. Um, and people would always call me gay, and it made me think that gay meant that guys hang out with too many girls and they start acting like a girl. And at one point when I was young, I asked my dad, what does it mean to be gay? And he said that if you hang out with too many girls, you're going to start talking like one. And that was the definition of gay. And so we went to a Christian church. I didn't feel like I belonged there. I didn't get along with the boys at school because they were stupid and they wanted to run around and pretend they were cops or dinosaurs and shoot each other and crap like that. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to sit in the corner and eat Cheetos with my girlfriends and talk about Riverdance or girly things like that, because those kinds of things just appealed to me. And so, as I got around 10 years old, we moved to Newhall and got our own apartment finally. But I did share a room with my brother and sister. I started being called a faggot and a sissy by my dad. He, because he wasn't allowed to do this in my grandma's house, started getting more comfortable with being physical and in the discipline department, and hitting me and using the belt and whatever he could grab and slapping me in the face and calling me all kinds of things. And faggot just really stuck with me because I really thought, like, something's wrong with me. I hang out with too many girls now. My dad hates me, and I'm a sissy, and my little brother doesn't get hit as much as I do, and that's because he plays ball with my dad and he goes fishing and all this stuff. And it was like, I do those things too, and I just don't enjoy them as much as my brother, so it didn't make sense to me. And um, I'd rather be singing Britney Spears with my sister or something like that. Um, in that time that we were in that apartment, I didn't make very many friends in school. My uncle Frank lived with us for a month. He needed a place to stay, so in exchange, he had to babysit us when we got home from school until my parents got home from work. And problem with that was we'd come home every day and he would be drunk, and then he would just go off on me, calling me a faggot, telling me that I'm a sissy. One time I got in a fight with my sister. We started hitting each other. He threw the Bible at me, literally told me to read the book of Matthew because I needed to find the definition of sissy, which I could find in the book of Matthew, which, according to him, the definition, which I never found, is a sissy is a boy who hits girls. And that's in the book of Matthew. Look it up. And so because of that, I lost my trust in Frank and most of the other male adult figures in my family, including my dad. Um, when I was 13, we moved back to Van Nuys, where I finished off 8th grade, and I met my friend Laura, who was probably the closest girlfriend I had ever had. Best friend, like, um, up until later on. Um, and it was just great. It was a really great friendship, and we would just hang out all the time. We talked to each other about our problems. People were still calling me gay. I had gained weight since I was younger. They were calling me fat. They were picking on me all the time. But about that time, I started noticing that guys they were pretty cute. And it's like kind of thing where you're in the locker room and somebody takes off their shirt and you're like, holy snaps, that guy's looks good. And that kind of thing. And it made me feel like I'm a pervert. Why am I looking at these people and they think I'm disgusting, and what if they see me, they're going to beat me up. And I should be looking at girls. And I pretended that I was attracted to girls for a long time. And when we moved out of Van Nuys to Lancaster, where I still live now, I made no friends. I lost all the friends, the all of what 3 friends that I had in Van Nuys, but that included Laura, and that was just devastating to me. Um, I all of sophomore year I had no friends. I sat in the same spot outside at lunchtime, rain or shine, and ate by myself and just sat there and watched everybody else hang out with their friends and do things like go to winter ball and homecoming and prom and even just to go out to the movies with their friends. And I was so jealous. And um, but I did have music because in 7th grade I started playing clarinet. I'd been singing since I was probably 4 years old. I taught myself to sing by imitating Whitney Houston in I Will Always Love You. That's how I taught myself to sing, and I just kept trying to imitate her, and then I ended up doing choir when I was younger, and so music had always been a part of my life. I did a little bit of musical theater in school and a little bit in church, and finally picked up clarinet in 7th grade because I couldn't be a drummer because they had too many drummers in the class, so I just picked clarinet because my mom used to play when she was in middle school, so I ended up loving it, and I learned everything that I know about music because of that. And so when I didn't have friends, I had my music, and I always had band class, and I talked to some people in band, and you know, just was not satisfied. But junior year, I met a great group of friends that I still have today, including Janelle, who I live with now, and she and I dated for about a year and a half, and the entire time I felt like I'm attracted to guys, but it's not okay. I At church they're saying that it's not okay. The Bible says it's not okay. They say God says it's not okay. My dad calls me a faggot. Michael Frank calls me a sissy. Um, Everybody calls me fat. I'm not attractive and everything. And so I just was not going to admit to myself that I was gay. I was not going to let it happen. Although I knew I was attracted to guys, and I was attracted to a lot of my friends, and I could not admit that. And I didn't want to tell Janelle that, and I cared about her. I loved her, and I thought that it was going to work. It was a great relationship in the beginning, and I thought if this continues after high school, how am I going to make this work? Like, I just didn't know how, and we ended up breaking up, and for about a year or two after that, we were dating off and on. In 2006, I didn't graduate high school because I stopped caring about my education because of everything that I had been through, and I just didn't care anymore. And I went to adult school. I'm still in adult school now. I've been going off and on, but now I'm set on just making it happen this time and just getting it over with finally. Um, Janelle and I were dating when we first started community theater out here, and it was in that show that I met my first boyfriend. And I didn't come out to Janelle right away, but I told her that it wasn't working and that we couldn't be together. And I got right on it, and I decided I'm 19. I need to make this happen. I'm gay. That's all there is to it. I'm attracted to guys. I love gay people. I love all of my gay friends. I finally accept gay people. I don't look at them like they're weird just because I can't accept it in me, so why should they? I finally had accepted them and loved everyone that I knew, and I thought, if they can do it, so can I. Sabrina Hart, thank you very much for being such a lovely, amazing person and such a huge part of my coming out experience. It's because of you that I finally realized that I can be happy and be gay and people will love me for it, and I did. And she was one of the first people that I did come out to, and I stayed with that boyfriend for a couple months. He broke up with me. It was heartbreaking. The first one, they say, is always the hardest, and it was. And Janelle, I finally came out to her. She accepted me. She loved me. She still supports me. Everybody, they all support me. All of my friends, I'm grateful for all of them. I didn't meet my next boyfriend until almost a year later, and we stood together for 2.5 years. In the beginning, it was the day before Thanksgiving 2008 when we had just first gotten together a few days before, and I was in LA. We were with a friend. His car broke down. I called home, said the tow truck's gonna bring us to a hotel, and I'll be home tomorrow, Thanksgiving morning. Um, Well, we took the tow truck back home and stood the night at my friend's apartment because I wanted to stay the night with my boyfriend and just have some special intimate time that I'd never experienced before, if you catch my drift. And it happened that night, and it was great and everything, and I was so happy with life. And um, so my parents thought I was staying in a motel, and that because there was not enough room in the tow truck or something like that. But anyway, I called them Thanksgiving morning and said, I'm coming home. Is the turkey ready and everything? And my mom said, um, keep your gay ass out. We don't want you back, and hung up on me. And I didn't know what to say, so I called back. My dad got on the phone and says, well, we found a bottle of Vaseline in your room, and gay people use that for sex, so don't come back home. We don't need you here. And first of all, gay people don't use Vaseline for sex. And it was not a bottle of Vaseline. It was a bottle of hand lotion with Vaseline in it. So it wasn't even for sex. So I never had the privilege of being able to sit there and tell my parents, hey, I'm gay and I'm still your son and I love you, and please accept me for who I am. I never got that. Um, they just accused me of it, and I eventually called them up later that day and told them, you know what, I'm gay. There's nothing you can do about it. So if you want me out, I'll wait until after you guys have had Thanksgiving dinner, and I'll come over and pick up my clothes, and you never have to hear from me again. And they had no problem with that at all. I spent Thanksgiving that night with my boyfriend and the friend, I think at Caro's, or we ordered takeout. We ordered takeout or something. I don't remember what it was, but it ended up being a good night, and I ended up enjoying um, spending that time with them, and everything. And I think they took me to see Twilight or something, and I ate nachos with my friend Leo, and Janelle came with us that night too. Um, and that was my Thanksgiving night, and it ended up being a lot of fun. And the next day I picked up my clothes. From there, it was just bouncing from house to house, going in and out of my parents' house, going through everything imaginable with this boyfriend, and falling so deeply in love with somebody, and then losing it, and then getting it back, and then losing it, and then getting back, and just being off and on for so long. And eventually we just it just didn't work out, so we're not together anymore. But I now have a close relationship with both of my parents. I have the support of all of my friends. People love me for who I am. I love me for who I am. I do drag, I do theater, I sing, I play piano. I taught myself to sing. I taught myself to do drag. I taught myself to play piano. Did I say that? I my talents came from me. They were not taught. I've never paid for any classes because my parents didn't want to. So I said, I'm going to teach myself. And I just made it happen for me. And I just want everybody out there to know that if you're questioning, or you're closeted, or you're scared because of religion or anything else, don't be. Eventually, you're gonna find that happiness, and you're gonna find your support group, and they're gonna love you for who you are, and no matter what, they're always gonna be there by your side, and it always gets better. There's always the what do they say, the grass is greener on the other side, or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, it will, you will benefit from it. And if anybody has any questions, or if anybody needs someone to talk to, I am here. Whether I know you or not, I'm always open to talking to anybody. Also, I'm single, and I love musicians.